Welcome back to As the Rabbit Descends Down the Hole. Let's look at Joseph. Oh, one night with the king can change your life forever. And that's exactly what happened here. The cupbearer remembered him all these years. Guards come in on your feet. You were remembered by the cupbearer. You have a job to do. The Pharaoh demands to see you. And Joseph, wow, seriously. I wonder if they cleaned him up or not, maybe. But he knows this is his moment. This is your time to shine. You can interpret dreams, and Pharaoh has a nightmare that's been bothering him, and he needs you. I'm sure it's very elaborate, gold, sapphire, rubies, all that stuff. Great big statues and things like that. Sure, it's very elaborate setting for all this, very dramatic, and center of it all is Pharaoh, because an Egyptian, the Pharaoh is he is the center of everything, which is kind of ironic when you think about this. Think about this. He's the center of everything. He is a godlike figure, but yet he doesn't know what his own dreams, his own mind is saying, but he's a godlike figure, and he needs to call on another god to interpret it for him. Just thought. Anyway, so he goes out there, and Pharaoh rises from his throne, looks him up and down. Hebrew, was told you can interpret dreams. Well, sir, I don't do the interpretation. God does. He tells me what the interpretation is. Can you just imagine a little hush going over the crowd? Well, in my dream, there are 7 fat cows. They rose from the Nile. 7 thin cows then devoured them. And again, 7 full heads of grain, and then 7 scorched ones swallowed them whole. No person in Egypt can explain this to me. My God cannot explain this to me. Can you? God has shown you the future of what's going to happen. You will have 7 years of abundance, then you have 7 years of famine. I would suggest that you store up for those 7 years of famine that are coming, so that you will have abundance throughout. And then after that, next 7 years, things will kind of level out. Just straight up, shoot from the hip. This is what God's telling me, and that's what I'm telling you. Pharaoh looked at him. You're a wise man. I will take you now, and you will work right under me from now on. My word and your word are the same. In other words, Joseph got so much power instantaneously. It's like he just became like vice president or something. Instantaneously, wherever this man says, this happens. Wherever you go, I'm going with you, type of thing. It's very powerful, very powerful position. It's a phenomenal position. You talk about rags to riches story. He turns and he puts a gold chain around his neck, and I'm sure there was rings. You always see them with rings and stuff like that, and some fancy clothes and things like that. And the next thing you know, he is sitting right next to him, and he has Pharaoh bestowed as the power of Pharaoh onto Joseph. a Hebrew who has been forgotten about, Hebrew who was sold into slavery by his brothers, of all people, and then ended up in Potiphar's house. Things started going good there, but then got kicked out of there, ended up in prison, been there for years. But he did have a little bit of favor, I guess you could say, in all of these things. And yet, now here he stands. He's been refined. He's been ready. This is the moment. Everything led up to this moment in his life, and he answered the question. He answered the call. And then you get to sit at this house, and you get to divide up and figure out. It's basically, he comes up with a taxing system. This is probably the first written tax system. I don't know. But a system that would spread out the grains and any food sources so that they could save for the next 7 years. Then through those 7 years of famine, they would still carry through. I mean, this is wow. He had a bigger job ahead of him, and he had to do it. He had to do it right. But man, and if you ever seen, I mean, like in the movies and things like that, I mean, the gypsies went all out when they pronounced something. I'm sure he had a parade. I'm sure they had, all kinds of stuff. Joseph, a man who had literally nothing. And now look at him now, all because of his character, of his strength, and because he listened to God. He did not let those behaviors from his father, those behaviors from his brothers, the bitterness he could have bestowed to be in advancing those behaviors forward. He didn't do that. He stood strong. He stood mighty. And now look at where he's at. But his story's not over yet. And I encourage you to come back while we wrap this up with Joseph. And I'll see you soon.